Imagine if sunflowers suddenly became illegal. Anybody caught growing sunflowers or eating sunflower seeds would be liable to jail time under the federal law. It's ridiculous, right? They're completely harmless. Or imagine you, a law-abiding citizen, has a cousin that looks just like you who keeps getting into trouble. And the next time he decides to do something illegal, the cops say, let's lock you up too, just because of a family resemblance. It's ridiculous, right? And completely unfounded. Well, why then is hemp classified as a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substance Act? Hemp is not a drug. It's an industrial cash crop. No one can get high from ingesting hemp, because to be considered hemp, this strain of cannabis needs to have less than 0.3% of THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that gets people high. So no one can get high from hemp. They'd have to smoke a joint the size of a telephone pole before they even catch a buzz from hemp. So why is it illegal? Why is it being treated so harshly when it's the crop that could revolutionize our country? Hemp can be used to make fuel, paper, plastics, building materials, fabrics, and so much more. This is hemp. Another distinguishing factor between marijuana and hemp is the way it's grown. When people grow marijuana to get high, they want the flower, so they encourage the plant to be bushy. But when we want hemp to make materials, we're harvesting the stalk. So hemp fields grow up to 8 feet tall, and they're really lanky. In his TED Talk delivered July of this year, Jack Whitley described how he went from being a city-dwelling businessman to a North Carolina farmer. He inherited his family farm, and he had never farmed a day in his life. He had to do a lot of research to decide what crops to grow, why, and how. And amid his research, he discovered the beauty of hemp and was flabbergasted that it was not being embraced by this country. He had a lot of compelling arguments, a few of which we're going to discuss today. For one, hemp is a far better resource for paper. 1 acre of hemp only takes 20 weeks to grow, and it produces 4 times the amount of pulp than an acre of trees that take 20 years to grow. If our country dedicated only 1% of our farmland to growing hemp for paper pulp, we could eliminate our need for deforestation here in the United States. In his TED Talk, Greg Mosley of Barbados urged his country to see the rationale of hemp. He focused on hemp's use as a biofuel. He calculated that were his country to use only unused farmland to grow hemp, they could generate more than half of their fuel needs per year. And as a country, we should be using hemp as a biofuel as well. 1 acre of corn can produce 340 gallons of biofuel, but 1 acre of hemp can produce 640 gallons of biofuel, and it takes 1/3 the water consumption. And in comparison to cotton, hemp proves to be the smarter resource. There was a study done in Canada where they planted 1 hectare of hemp and 1 hectare of cotton, which is 2.5 acres. So they planted a hectare of hemp and a hectare of cotton for comparison. And in the end, the hemp field produced 250% more fiber than the cotton field. And they found that 528 gallons of water were saved per t-shirt. Per t-shirt. And because of its much less need for herbicides and pesticides, a cup of pesticides were saved per t-shirt. And hemp isn't just for making canvas fabrics anymore. We can combine hemp with denim, suede, silk, and produce all kinds of fabrics that are breathable, durable, and machine washable. And there are several hemp clothing brands in Europe that are already taking root. Hemp is also proving to be a remarkable building material. Its use as a plastic, as an industrial plastic, is being implemented by Mercedes, BMW, Audi, GMC, Ford, and this could mean lighter cars, which would take less fuel consumption. In a short documentary titled Industrial Hemp Solutions, I learned about hemp's use in the construction industry. A mixture of hemp, lime, and water called hempcrete is being used to build entire homes. And in the end, the walls are breathable, fire-resistant, mold-resistant, pest-resistant, non-toxic, and best yet, carbon negative. Because even after the house is built, it continues to draw carbon from the atmosphere. And hemp can also be used to make the insulation for our homes. I don't know if you've ever worked with our current form of insulation, but it's dangerous. Hemp insulation is non-hazardous. This means no gloves, no goggles, no itchy fiberglass feeling. And in the end, you're not living in a box made of chemicals. Listen, there are so many more uses for hemp, but another one we need to be sure to cover is the fact that hemp is a superfood. Hemp has all 9 amino acids, and hemp seeds are 33% protein. Hemp oil that you get from pressing the seeds is comparable to olive oil because it's shelf stable, except that it has 25 times the omega-3 than olive oil and half the saturated fat. It's actually comparable to tuna fish because it has 6 times the omega-3s than tuna. Ask any of your friends that are remotely interested in nutrition and they'll tell you how remarkable this is. No other plant we know is comparable to animal products in both protein and omega-3s. It's remarkable. And yet, 15 days after 9/11, a new regulation was published in the Congressional Journal that grouped hemp foods in the same category as heroin, making them illegal to sell in the United States with up to 15 years jail time. Thankfully, holistic companies like Doc Bronner's, Nature's Made, and Nativa fought through the courts until their victory in 2004. And now, hemp foods and hemp cosmetics are available in the United States. But listen, that's not enough. Countries like Germany, England, Canada, China, Australia, France, Italy, Spain, they're all realizing the limitless potential and transformative power of hemp and are implementing it in their economies. And why not? The use of hemp goes back thousands of years. Hemp fibers have been found in Egypt and China, dating man's use of hemp over 10,000 years BC. So why is it illegal? Why is it being treated so unfairly? It's funny because it wasn't always this way. In fact, hemp was once a mandatory crop here in the British colonies, and it remained an industrial staple until the infamous reefer madness era of the 1930s that grouped marijuana and hemp together. And in 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act installed such harsh penalties that it regulated it nearly out of existence until World War II. In World War II, this is hilarious, in World War II, our hemp supply from the Philippines was cut off by the Japanese, forcing the government to institute an emergency program they called Hemp for Victory. The propaganda even encouraged children of 4-H clubs to grow hemp for the country's cause. Hemp is harmless. It's helpful. And in the words of Hemp Inc. CEO Bruce Perlowin, it's time for hemp to make its rightful return to the American landscape. By signing this petition, you will join millions of fellow Americans who agree enough is enough. It's time for hemp to be recognized as the invaluable resource that it is. It's time for hemp to be freed from the Controlled Substance Act. It's time to think smart about our resources. Sign today and encourage your senator to support industrial hemp. And together, we'll form a brighter future, a green future. Thank you.